The top 15 American retailers are actively closing down stores. No business today is reducing your spending power after you pay for housing, energy, gas, groceries, and other monthly expenses. The majority of us have less and less money to spend on discretionary items. Some of us are even conserving that money instead of using it to prepare for the impending storm. Because of this, even some of the biggest American firms are seeing their sales, profits, and earnings drop. After 2 tremendously challenging years for our economy, many of them were already struggling to make ends meet. Due to widespread issues with the supply chain, inflation, and rising commodity prices, many businesses were operating in incredibly challenging conditions. They now have some difficult decisions to make. As the holiday season approaches, even well-known companies like McDonald's and Disney are making closure announcements in an effort to reduce expenses and deal with the economic crisis that is playing out right before our eyes. In today's video, we've provided a list of several major players in the market who recently announced intentions to close dozens or perhaps hundreds of sites. Please give us a thumbs up before reviewing this list in order to show your support. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Here are the top 15 American retailers that are currently closing down their stores. Number 1. Best Buy. The electronics retailer has been gradually closing stores over the past few years, citing plans to close an additional number of stores by November due to supply chain and labor challenges, after avoiding 20 locations in both 2019 and 2020. 60 further facilities were closed in January 2022, and more than 2,000 employees were laid off. Because the company indicated it will shorten the duration of its lease terms and continue managing several of its brick-and-mortar sites, a subsequent round of layoffs could be abrupt. The company disclosed that it would close at least 20 more sites by the end of 2022 due to a significant decline in foot traffic during an earnings call during the third quarter. It has decided to prioritize online sales. By the middle of 2024, according to many retail industry analysts, the company might completely disappear from the American retail scene. Number 2. Walgreens. The most recent victim of supply chain bottlenecks that are resulting in shortages of antibiotics, antivirals, antihistamines, and other medications is Walgreens. Due to the items, blackouts, and declining sales, Walgreens is closing underperforming locations in order to cut costs. In the past month alone, the chain quietly closed 4 sites in and around New York, Florida, Colorado, and Massachusetts. The most recent store closings, however, are part of a wider plan that would ultimately close over 200 stores, claims MoneyWise. Number 3. Disney. The mega brand famed for its legendary movie production is currently undergoing a massive reorganization plan after the company's shares lost over 40% of its value this year. Former CEO Bob Iger has even lately returned to his position. Disney closed more than 60 locations as even its online business started to falter in the fourth quarter of 2021 as a result of the pandemic and inflationary pressures. Disney's streaming business lost $1.5 billion, and when customers truly started reducing their discretionary spending in 2022, it had no impact on the brand. The US is currently closing 59 locations, increasing the total number of closures in 2 years since the restructuring's conclusion to 119. As the business attempts to concentrate on its digital platform and social media, there will only be 23 Disney storefronts remaining in the nation. Number 4. L'Occitane. The biggest shopping season of 2021 and the holidays both saw a 56.5% decline in in-store sales at the renowned Odd Beauty business. The company's executive team proposed a fresh restructuring plan to escape from Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection this year after its profitability fell short of investors' expectations. The result is that the beauty brand is currently closing 23 of its 166 shops throughout the United States, and it anticipates reducing its physical footprint to 133 locations in 2023. Number 5. Office Depot. Office Depot is reportedly preparing to close more locations this year, according to recent projections. 263 Office Depot locations were demolished between 2010 and 2021 as the company battled the effects of the pandemic shortages and challenges at its distribution operations. According to the company's most current financial data, the retail division sales declined by 11% in the third year compared to the same period previous year. The CEO, Jerry Smith, said Office Depot will eliminate 71 more retail locations at the beginning of 2023 as part of efforts to realign its operational priorities and cut costs. Number 6. CVS. CVS is experiencing the same problems. According to Nielsen, the pharmacy giant CVS, a rival of Walgreens, is attempting to close 900 stores to shrink its physical footprint by 10%. In my opinion, as managing director at Global Data, too many CVS locations are stuck in the past with subpar lighting, dark interiors, disjointed merchandising, and a limited range of goods. The chain will benefit from the closures by investing in its surviving stores and expanding its swiftly expanding online presence. A number of CVS locations, including those in Johnson City, Tennessee, Falls Church, Virginia, and Fresno, California, have been steadily closing in recent months. A company representative stated that the closures would assist in the creation of a new retail footprint strategy that is consistent with shifting consumer expectations. Number 7. McDonald's. It goes without saying that McDonald's, the most well-known fast food restaurant franchise in the world, won't be permanently closing anytime soon. However, the corporation hasn't managed to avoid the ongoing recession, and hundreds of low-traffic stores are being quietly shut down. According to the Wall Street Journal, McDonald's is experiencing experiencing its lowest profits in 13 years and is now taking a cautious stance by closing 200 underperforming Walmart locations, leaving only 150 open nationwide. This is happening at a time when even some of the most well-known brands are showing signs of trepidation. Following the pandemic, costs for McDonald's to implement new health and safety rules increased, and rising food prices also reduced profitability. Number 8. Microsoft. Despite the fact that the corporation saw a significant increase in profits during the epidemic as millions of people were dependent on its software for the home working and virtual school setups, Microsoft's real estate commitments were still putting pressure on the company's balance sheet. All of Microsoft's sales are now made online, as the company has shut down its remaining 70 physical stores in the US. Number 9. AT&T. AT&T is not the only shop that have been negatively impacted by the current economic downturn. Home goods and drugstores have as well. According to CEO John Stankey, AT&T, the largest telecommunications company in the world by revenue, also announced that it would be closing 250 stores and eliminating 3,400 jobs as it started to reposition its struggling business wireline segment against the backdrop of an increasingly challenging economic environment. Number 10. GameStop. The failing video game store rose to fame earlier this year on the stock market and in the media, when a gang of stock market pranksters made headlines around the world by planning the launch of GameStop shares to the moon to thwart hedge funds betting on the chain's continued decline. However, it appears that none of them really made purchases there based on the dropping revenue and negative sales growth. Over the previous 2 years, the largest gaming retailer in the world has closed hundreds of stores, totaling 1,000 locations in 2021. 557 more shops are having clearance sales in an effort to close, as GameStop starts to focus more on its online business. Number 11. Pier 1 Imports. In an effort to slash costs and save its business, Pier 1 Imports declared bankruptcy in 2020 and closed 450 outlets. However, a pandemic, the worst shipping crisis in modern history, and months of port clogging ruined the company's ambitions. The last straw for Pier 1 Inputs, it seems, came when it proved impossible for the business to come out of Chapter 11 protection in 2022. The business said that it would close its last 492 locations, for a total of 942 closures during the last 2 years. Number 12. Gap. The current legal troubles involving the rapper Kanye West are costing the clothing business money. The start of the busiest shopping season of the year. Sales of a new clothing line called Easy Gap briefly rose last year, but then swiftly fell as consumers lost interest in the items, which they now perceived as being expensive and uninteresting, and compared to fast fashion brands like Nordstrom or luxury brands like Zara. According to Forbes, Gap announced in October that it would close 30% of its locations by 2023 in the midst of such unsettling circumstances. In order to create a more manageable and healthy fleet of enterprises, the plan will move the majority of the stores out of malls. Mark Bright, president and chief executive officer, claims that we have grown overly reliant on expensive but underproductive stores. During the time, a statement was made. Addressing the real estate issues and accelerating the switch to a genuine omni model have been priorities during the last 6 months. 220 Gap stores will shortly go out of business. Number 13. Chipotle. While many individuals still regularly eat at one of these chains' locations, few are aware of Chipotle's severe financial difficulties. Chipotle will never reopen, citing severe labor issues, declining sales, and supply chain issues. 65 restaurants. The restaurant's chief corporate affairs officer, Lori Shiloh, said in a statement that finding management to lead the company and hiring new staff to keep the doors open has been difficult. Due to these persistent personnel concerns, there is no hope of opening anytime soon. So we've chosen to permanently close the locations, she said. Number 14. Bath & Body Works. Sales at Bath & Body Works physical outlets are down 37%. By the fourth quarter of 2022, 50 Bath & Body Works locations in the United States will close, according to parent company L Brands. In an effort to reduce costs in the face of increased supply chains and transportation costs as well as rampant inflation, the company has announced plans to eliminate 130 corporate roles. Number 15. Sally Beauty Supply. This week, Sally Beauty Supply, a Texas-based retail company with over 4,500 stores and distribution centers around the country, revealed that 350 of its sites will be shutting down by the end of this year. According to Business Insider, Sally Beauty recently announced a nearly $20 million decline in net sales, which the firm ascribed to being unfavorably impacted by inflationary pressures that continue to have an influence on consumer behavior and supply chain issues. At that point, you can be sure that the economy is in free fall, and what's worse is that neither consumer nor corporate conditions are anticipated to improve anytime soon. Even one of the world's wealthiest individuals advises people to avoid unnecessary purchases and to preserve money. This is bad news for our well-known brands and important retailers. I suppose we'll keep you informed as the retail apocalypse unfolds over the coming months. Continue to visit us, and feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section. I value your attention.